Good day, critics. How are you? Let's just get it. Well, I wanted to welcome you to my new channel. This is K-pop Critical Mind. Now, some of you coming from other communities that I may be involved in may go, "Well, I don't like K-pop." Yeah, you don't like it now, but you will. But more than anything, my channel is a humanist channel. I happen to fall into K-pop back in 2015 and got very much into South Korean culture. And it did a lot for me. And I learned a lot about social ethics. And at the time, I was in the GDC, the Great Debate Community, and I was doing a lot of God and no God debates. I am a third-generation atheist. I am a servant of something higher than myself. And for me, that's humanity. That's the relationship between two or more people. So you may not call me an atheist. I probably still am because I don't have the belief in the same God that most biblical people do. You can challenge me on my belief system anytime you want. I'm a work in progress, and I'm learning about me and about my life and about humanity every single day. So my journey is just as important as my position today. And so while I will debate you, it's not something that I'm no longer militant about any of my positions. I'm really interested in having this conversation go in a different direction. More about humanity. It's about personal responsibility and about accountability. I know that all seems very boring to a lot of people, but there's a really good life out there if you're willing to work hard at it. If you're willing to take a look at your life, challenge your own character defects, and become a better you, incrementally every single day. If you're willing to connect with your community, and if you're willing to help those that are less fortunate than you or going through a tough time, it's something special if you can connect with it. I came to a point in my life about 5 months ago where my life was completely unmanageable, and I had to do something different and drastically different. Now here's where BTS and K-pop came in. During a lot of the last few years, I'd become really sad, disillusioned, lonely, drowning in bad habits and bad behavior. And I had to get out of it. And the funny thing is, the more I listened to BTS, the more I felt the hope springing inside of me, yet I was so lost. I couldn't find my way out. And when I look at pain in other humans, when I look at war, when I look at people who are being disenfranchised or who are disenfranchised, people who are being oppressed, people who are being killed, people who are not thriving in society, you have to ask yourself why, right? And what can we do? And what is our responsibility? And these questions are in every video conversation in these communities on YouTube. And while I love the Great Debate Community, and I love the conversation of God and no God and presupposition this and blah, 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 that, it's time to take life in a different direction, right? Because we can argue infinitum about whether there is a God or no God. Ultimately, it is the unwinnable, right? And you may say that you have the proof, and I may say that there is no proof. But yet nobody throughout history has been able to prove definitively, just as I can prove that I'm sitting here, that if you cut me, I bleed. I started thinking as I was watching all of these debates going on, God, there are people starving. Every time we spend 3 hours on a video, there's people starving. They need to be fed, clothed, housed, connected to community. The one thing that saved my life in these last 5 months, when I was at rock bottom, was connecting with a community that cared about me, that didn't care about my past mistakes, that they didn't care about how much I had or how little I had. They didn't care about my war stories. But what they cared about is, what did I want to do about my life? And was I willing to make some changes? And you may be thinking, well, sugar, what does that have to do with the Great Debate community? Well, we are the Great Debate. Our existence is the Great Debate. Our salvation, or not salvation, depending on what you believe, that is the Great Debate. And I think that the greatest debate is that is not so polarized. God or no God? In the beginning, sugar, God or no God? In the beginning of what? I mean, really, we can go around and around, and we chase our tails. All the while, there is unnecessary suffering that absolutely can be alleviated. Now, all suffering cannot go away. Life is chaos. This is the way it is. It's the way it's always been. The goal is to make life in between those moments of chaos so fabulous that together we can withstand them. We can weather any storm. We can fight any battle. We can overcome any loneliness. This is big for me. So I kind of came to the conclusion that, look, if we're going to talk about evolution, if we're going to argue about evolution, then we ought to evolve totally, right? And that means evolving the argument. That means that it's not just about whether we had tails or whether we came from fish or chickens or whatever else, because those are such easy arguments to go, oh, so we came from a dog, huh? I mean, we've had this argument before. But the big conversation, like, if there is a God, and we took care of each other, and we saw that everybody was fed, clothed, housed, and connected with community, that God, that omnipotent being, theoretically would be happy, correct? I think so. Even as hard as it is for me to grasp the idea of an omnipotent being that would sit and let its creation suffer, I want to believe that if there was a God, that it would be pleased that we cared for one another that much. I feel pretty confident about that. On the other hand, if the atheists are right, or the agnostics, or anybody else are right, and there is no God, then we still feed, clothe, house, and connect each other with community. It's a win-win. So then you would ask yourself, well, why wouldn't we go for the win-win? Why wouldn't we do what allows people to have their own beliefs, to keep their autonomy, to keep their critical mind sharp, and still take care of one another? Why wouldn't we do that? That's what I want to know. That's the conversation I want to have. The conversation I want to have is, how can you love yourself? How can you become the best human that you can be? Because you're out there touting your wares and campaigning for your beliefs or non-beliefs every single day. And who you are and how you walk your walk and how you talk your talk makes all the difference in the world, because even the stupidest people have bullshit detectors. Unfortunately, they just kind of go off in another direction and start, following people who think that the earth isn't round or something, or, Anyways, I don't want to step on anybody's toes, all right? There's enough belief for all of us. I get it. But I think you know what I'm talking about. I really want to get to the area of evolution at its core, emotional evolution, human evolution at the level of social ethics, right? How are we evolving? Are we just regurgitating the same old argument, or are we looking for different arguments? Are we looking for different conversations? And do we need to call them arguments? Must we debate everything? What about just a great conversation that turns on everybody's mind and makes you go, wow, I never thought about that. I don't know that I agree with it, but I never thought about it like that. Let me just digest that for a while. Let me try that out. Let me talk to people. Let me see if I see that happening within my world. These things are important. I was raised very secular, and I was also, though, taught to respect religion, to respect those who have beliefs, and to never, ever, ever put them down. And I did for a while. You know, after about a year of being in the great debate community, I took a little tour down the anti-theist aisle. It wasn't for me, but it felt kind of bad. Like, I didn't really care for being an anti-theist because it involved really kicking in the teeth of some belief. And I feel pretty strongly about that, you know, even though I may be on the fence, if you may think that, because a lot of anti-theists will say, oh, you're on the fence. Well, no, I'm not on the fence. I'm just an individual, and I just don't believe that you need to be just as militant either way, right? The fanatical, the theist, the radical, or the militant anti-theist. I find that the vitriol and the anger, and, you know, especially when you're an anti-theist, I mean, you're so angry at a God you don't believe in. And I know it's not really the God that you're mad at. It's the people who did things to you in the name of this God and this religion. And we all think we know about how we're going to raise our children secularly. And I did. I raised 2 children secularly. And I have quite a bit of experience in not only being brought up that way, but in also bringing up children who became adults. There's no right or wrong answer here, people. There are answers that work for you, and there are answers that work for other people. And you can have the right idea, and in one family it works, in another family it doesn't work. With one child in the same family it works, in another family, or another child in that same family, it doesn't work. So I've often been called a room killer because I come in all kumbaya and let's talk about something else. Let's talk about something that doesn't pit us against each other. Let's talk about a real solution, because I'm done signing off on people's bullshit, right? It's the same argument over and over again. And this happens anywhere in life. You know, you've got a problem and you're living in drama. And trust me, the great debate is drama. Our own personal lives, we have drama. And you know the person that is just the same shit every day, the same blah, 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 you know, a willing participant in their misery. It's because we co-sign on their bullshit. We go, oh yeah, it's okay. Oh, that must be hard. Sometimes we have to say, you know, what you're doing is wrong. When it truly is wrong. You know, stealing, co-signing off on cheating, all of those things. The way we treat other people, the way men and women will treat each other in divorce.